I've got to think of a way to conquer this planet. Perhaps the children. Maybe one of my robots could brainwash the school kiddies so that they'd love me and honor me and look up to me as a hero, and they could persuade their parents to accept me as their ruler.
Here are your choices.
And I'm Ollie.
I'm Lindsay, and this is my best friend, Techie.
That's right, we're going to be talking about Pop and Ollie and queer kid stuff. Why? Well, this is why.
Now, don't get me wrong. A kid should learn whether they're lesbian or gay if they're at a young age, and it's not going to be bad if they are.
Hey Ollie and Lindsay, how's it feel to know that a pedophile agrees with you that children should be taught about sexuality before they even hit puberty? He goes on in the video to ramble incoherently, but eventually makes a somewhat coherent point that he doesn't like queer kid stuff because it teaches transgender identities. Oh, and lasers. He gets stuck on the lasers for some odd reason.
You shouldn't also teach kids about fucking laser. You really think they will understand the acronym of laser? Come on, queer kid stuff. I know you want to make kids smart, but you really think a kid could understand the word laser? She said this in one video. Said the full acronym for laser. Which is just like, you really think a kid's gonna understand that?
This guy's incoherent rambling would almost be funny if it wasn't for the fact that he's sexually attracted to children between the ages of 3 and 12. Well, that's enough about the pedophile. I want to go back and talk about queer kid stuff and Pop and Ollie. Two channels that, like a pedophile, think that children should be taught sexuality before they even hit puberty.
And today we're going to be talking about gender pronouns. You may have noticed I'm wearing this really cool t-shirt from my friend Lindsay over at Queer Kid Stuff.
Oh yeah, the brainchild that blocked me on her normal Twitter, but didn't block me on her show's Twitter. All because of this little image right here. Apparently she doesn't like the dictionary definition of queer as much as she likes the dictionary definition of feminism.
It says he because my preferred gender pronouns are he, him, and his.
Don't care about your gender pronouns. You attacked Irate Bear on Twitter over a video you didn't like and told your Twitter following to go attack him too. You're a despicable person, regardless of your gender pronouns.
And I'm wearing these cat ears because, well, I just like to wear cat ears. Would you like to wear, Pop?
This mustache.
Cool.
You guys are hella stupid. You guys are hella lame. You guys are hella deaf.
And what are your preferred gender pronouns?
He, him, and his.
Stop it. Get some help.
We say preferred gender pronouns because this is how we would like people to refer to us. Ollie likes to wear his cat ears because he thinks they make him look cool.
Ollie is a bully who believes that children should learn about sexuality, and anyone who dares call into question his logic is thrown to his Twitter following.
Pop sometimes wonders how he ended up with a friend like Ollie.
Pop, a genderless sentient object, sometimes wonders why his friend Ollie is such an asshole.
Oi, your preferred gender pronouns, or PGP, might be he, him and his, or she, her and hers, or maybe they, them and theirs, or maybe you just want people to call you by your name, or something else.
Your gender pronouns are a social construct, and I see little point in them outside of determining what gender a person is during conversation. Outside of that, I don't care what people call me as a gender pronoun. They can call me bitch for all I give a fuck.
It's also really important to respect other people's preferred gender pronouns and address them correctly. If you do get it wrong, just correct yourself and move on. If someone gets your PGP wrong, try to be patient with them. Just gently remind them what your pronouns are.
Well, fuck me.
There's kind of an odd sense of, well, irony when you talk about respect. Because you clearly have none for anyone that has a different opinion than yours. One need only to look at what you did to Irate Bear to see that.
Cool, and that's all we had to say today.
Yeah, I'm not quite done with you guys yet. The next video has Pop and Ollie talking about the sexualities covered under the LGBT+ umbrella.
LGBT. But what does it mean? Is it a word? Well, try saying it and you'll soon realise it's not. LGBT. Yeah, definitely not a word. That's because it's actually an acronym, meaning that each letter stands for something.
Does anyone else think it's dumb that these guys are trying to teach an age group that is just learning how to read what acronyms are?
First up is the letter L, which stands for lesbian. A lesbian is a female or woman who's attracted to other females.
I think you grossly oversimplified that to the point where it can be misused, and that's irresponsible. A lesbian is a female with a sexual attraction to other females. A little girl can be attracted to another little girl as a playmate, as a friend. This doesn't make the little girl that is attracted to being friends with another little girl a lesbian.
Next up is the letter G, which stands for gay. Gay means a male or man who's attracted to other males.
Just like with lesbians, you've grossly oversimplified this. Homosexuality, or being gay, is when a male is sexually attracted to another male. Little boys can be attracted to being friends with other little boys without it being sexual, and thus those little boys are not gay.
B stands for bi, and bi is short for bisexual. A bisexual is someone who's attracted to males and females.
Once again, another gross oversimplification. As a person who is bisexual, let me clear this up for you. A person who is bisexual is attracted sexually to both men and women. The key words in this being that it is a sexual attraction. Children do not start feeling sexual attraction until after puberty. You know, when sex ed is usually taught in schools? Yeah, it's right about that time that children start feeling sexual attraction towards the other gender, the same gender, or both genders. But again, it doesn't happen until after puberty.
And finally, T. T is for transgender, which can mean someone who transitions or changes from one gender to another. You see, the gender they were born with may not match up to the gender they feel they are inside.
It can mean someone that transitions from one gender to another. First of all, it is a person that transitions from one perceived sex to another perceived sex. It is not a magical power where if you just snap your fingers and wish hard enough that you become the other sex, which is the way that your wording implies that it works. Secondly, your gross oversimplification of this topic is incredibly insulting to actual trans people.
And that is what LGBT stands for. But hang on, what about LGBTI? Or LGBTI, Q, Q, P, A, B, C, D, E?
That is so lame.
Well, there are lots of other identities which fit under the LGBT umbrella.
You guys are hella stupid. You guys are hella lame. You guys are hella dumb.
Such as intersex, pansexual, questioning, and many more.
A majority of which are made of bullshit.
This can make the list of letters quite long, which is why the term alphabet soup is quite a fun way of describing it.
Well, so much for me eating alphabet soup anytime soon. Thanks for that, Ollie.
But perhaps an easier way to include everyone is to use this handy little plus sign, which means plus. That way, no one gets left out.
Nobody inside of a crashing train gets left out either, and that's the way I perceive the LGBT plus community. The reason for this is because there are a number of made-up genders and sexualities that are covered under that umbrella. And what's worse, pedophiles wish to be covered under that umbrella too. And there are actually people in that community that want that to happen. Your community is in bed with the enemy. I mean that both figuratively and literally. Because there are people in your community that are not only okay with pedophilia, but there are also people that defend Islam, a religion that would have you killed on sight.
Being LGBT is not something you can choose to be. It's like the colour of your skin, or your height, or shoe size.
The hell it's not, Ollie. The LGBT plus community is not my fucking sexuality. It is not my skin color. It is not anything to me but another fucking label. And that is a label I refuse to be affiliated with, because there are some very bad people that are doing some very bad things under that label, because they think they can. Like you, Ollie.
It is simply something that some people relate to and others do not.
Go fuck yourself.
Lesbian, gay, bi, and transgender are just words, but they are words which we should use both respectfully and with care.
They're just words describing a person's sexuality. Nothing more, nothing less. A person is not owed respect simply because a word describes them, or describes their sexuality. And the argument that yes, they are, is absolutely ridiculous.
And now you know what LGBT means. But when you think about it, it doesn't matter if someone is LGBT or XYZ. Okay, I just made that last one up. But what I'm trying to say is, we are all just P-E-O-P-L-E.
Irony alert! Irony alert! Irony alert! Irony alert!
People who should respect and care for each other, regardless of who we are, who we love, or who we become.
Apparently, you should love and respect people until they disagree with Ollie, and then you should go attack them because Ollie tells you to.
Thanks for watching Pop and Ollie Learn.
Fuck off, Ollie, and may you never darken my doorway again. Demon Pony, cue up the next one. Okie dokie!
Today, we're talking about the L in LGBT.
Oh joy, Lindsay's going to tell me about lesbians. That intro is 22 seconds long with the most painful ukulele music I have ever heard.
Welcome to part 2 in our 4-part series.
Oh yeah, this is video 2 in her series about LGBT, because apparently Lindsay doesn't know that L comes before G in LGBT.
Breaking down the letters in LGBT. You ready, Teddy?
Ready.
Okay, today we're talking about the first letter, L. L stands for lesbian.
Once again, I can't help feeling that it's odd that you're trying to teach an age group that is just learning how to read what acronyms are.
The word lesbian is similar to the word gay, which we talked about in the very first episode of Queer Kid Stuff.
Yes, but I'm starting with L because the acronym LGBT starts with L. It doesn't start with G.
A lesbian is a girl who loves other girls.
No, a lesbian is a female with an attraction, a sexual attraction, to other females. The way you put it will confuse a child, because the way you put it, if a little girl loves her mommy, she's going to think she's a lesbian because her mommy is another girl.
But I thought that's what gay means.
Someone who is gay can be a girl who loves girls, but a boy who loves boys isn't a lesbian. So that's the difference.
Actually, Teddy, you're not far off, because being gay and being a lesbian are both forms of homosexuality, which is defined in the dictionary as a person who is sexually attracted to people of their own sex. The word lesbian is derived from the name of the Greek island Lesbos, home to the 6th century BCE poet Sappho's. From various ancient writings, historians have gathered that a group of young women were left in Sappho's charge for their instruction or cultural edification. And yes, the word is actually edification. Now then, gay is a term that primarily refers to a homosexual person or the trait of being homosexual. The term was originally used to mean cheerful, happy, or bright and showy. The term's use as a reference to homosexuality may date as early as the 19th century, but its use gradually increased during the 20th century. Now Teddy knows where these two terms came from, and you can stop lying to Teddy. Also, isn't Google awesome?
Oh, okay, I got it.
Teddy, I have a question for you. What does a lesbian look like?
Well, that's a trap question if I've ever heard one. I'm also pretty sure that kids don't care what a lesbian looks like.
Don't they all look like you, Lindsay?
That's a good guess, but that was actually a trick question. There's no one way to look like a lesbian.
She's actually right about that one. Meet Spring Byington. She was an actress during the 1930s, and continued to be an actress until the 1960s. Despite her having married, a number of Hollywood historians have claimed that she was a lesbian.
Let me show you. Some lesbians might look like me with short hair and fancy shirts.
Your shirt actually isn't that fancy. I've seen the exact same shirt at my local Fred Meyer's for $5. It's a work shirt. Get the fuck over yourself.
But some lesbians might have long hair and wear dresses, and some wear either or both.
Yes, and some men wear dresses. What does this have to do with being a lesbian? Are you actually gonna explain why you brought clothing into this? I'm guessing you're not, but I figured I would ask anyway.
Just like how we talked about gender.
Exactly, that's so great. I'm really glad you remember that. It's very similar to gender because you cannot tell what girls are lesbians because of how they look.
So in a shortened, less confusing version of that, you cannot determine a person's sexuality by their looks or their clothing. I don't know where she was going with the gender thing because it came completely out of left field. And makes about as much sense as 2 + 2 = fish.
Can't I ask them what their pronoun is?
Actually, no, Teddy. That's just for people's gender. You can ask people if they are gay or lesbian, but sometimes that question can be inappropriate.
Well, yes, technically Teddy could ask what a person's gender pronouns are, but it's not going to be relevant to a conversation about sexuality, which is what this is. This is a conversation about sexuality and sexual identities, aimed at children that have not even hit puberty yet. Let me say that again. Aimed at children that have not even hit puberty yet.
And people might not want to answer it because it can be very personal for them.
People generally don't want to answer that question, even when they're talking to adults, because it's none of their fucking business. They certainly don't want to answer that question when it's coming from a child that is too young to even understand sexuality.
What is most important is to never assume something about another person because of how they look. This goes for whether or not people are gay or lesbian.
That's kind of funny coming from you, because you looked at, my icon on Twitter and automatically assumed I was a troll? Lindsay, I've actually suffered sexual abuse and harassment as a child. One of my abusers was the one that taught me about sexualities, and he taught me about them before I was even 6, which is why I know that children in the age group that this show is aimed at are not ready to learn about sexualities.
And for people's gender.
Stop it. Get some help.
Anyway, it shouldn't matter whether someone is gay or lesbian or one gender or another or both or somewhere in between.
You're right, it shouldn't matter. So why do you keep bringing it up like it matters? That's my question for you. If it doesn't matter, why do you keep bringing it up like it matters?
We are all just people, and all people should be treated equally.
Unless, of course, they tell you something you don't like, and then it's okay to block them and treat them like their opinion doesn't matter, right, Lindsay? 'Cause that's what you did to me. And from what I'm guessing, you probably did the same thing to a lot of other people, too.
Yeah, treat people fair.
Exactly. That's what's most important about all of this.
Go fuck yourself.
Sometimes when you hear the word gay, it might mean happy. Like, if I went to recess yesterday and I had a really great time, it made me feel gay or happy.
Gay started being used as a term referencing a homosexual person around the 19th century. So you're lying to Teddy. Because it hasn't been used in that way for a very, very long time.
But most of the time, when you hear the word gay, it probably means something else, and that has to do with love.
No, it's usually in reference to guys that like to fuck other guys. Like, I'm not sure where you're getting this "it means love" thing, because it doesn't. Like, you can be sexually attracted to someone and not love them. Just like you can love a person and not be sexually attracted to them.
So, gay means when one person of one gender loves someone of the same gender. Like, if a boy loves a boy, they're a gay couple, and if a girl loves a girl, they're a gay couple too. Sometimes when you hear the word gay, it might mean happy. Like, if I went to recess yesterday and I had a really great time, it made me feel gay or happy. Like, if a boy loves a boy, they're a gay couple, and if a girl loves a girl, they're a gay couple too. Someone who is gay can be a girl who loves girls, but a boy who loves boys isn't a lesbian. So that's the difference.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
And even if a Teddy loves a Teddy, they're gonna be a gay couple.
So by your logic, if a female Teddy and a male Teddy screw, they're going to be a gay couple because they're both Teddys. There is no way around it. That is the stupidest thing I have ever heard.
That's what gay means. Gay means love.
Look, Lindsay, I know you've never picked up a dictionary in your life other than to look up the dictionary definition of feminism. But the word gay and the word love are not interchangeable terms. They mean very different things. I feel like I should have started a word abuse counter. 1 point every time Lindsay abuses a word so badly that it has to use a doll to show the therapist where the mean lady touched it. But I guess it's too late for that.
Teddy, I have a question for you now. What does your family look like?
My parents are 2 bears.
Well then, Teddy, by Lindsay's weird-ass logic, that makes your parents a gay couple, regardless of their sex or their sexuality, because...
Even if a Teddy loves a Teddy, they're gonna be a gay couple.
All because Lindsay doesn't know that the word gay isn't interchangeable for the word love.
Wow, that's so different from what my family's like. I have a mom and a dad, but I also have a stepmom and a stepdad. Our families look so different from each other, and I bet your family looks different too.
I'm not going to talk about my family to somebody who can't comprehend that the word gay and the word love are not interchangeable terms.
Let's talk about what some of those families might look like.
And here comes the part that I don't have much of a problem with until she starts saying that we're all family, 'cause we're not.
Some families might have a mom and a dad, but some families might also have a mom and a mom, or a dad and a dad. And some families might even just have one mom or one dad, and some families might have many moms or many dads. These families all look so different from each other, but what matters is that we're all family.
Now we're going to be moving on to her third video, which is about bisexuality. Joy.
Today, we're going to talk about the B in LGBT. Welcome to the third part in our 4-part series breaking down the letters in LGBT. You ready, Teddy? Okay, today we are talking about the second letter, B. B stands for bisexual. Bisexual is very similar to gay and lesbian.
There you go, blatantly lying again. A bisexual person is sexually attracted to both men and women. It's a sexual attraction to both sexes. Hence the term bisexual and not homosexual. Homo meaning same, bi meaning two.
Which we've already talked about. Bisexual is when a boy or a girl loves other boys or girls.
I feel like I've already stated this multiple times too, but love and sexual attraction are not the same thing.
Bisexual is when you love people of both genders.
No, Lindsay, once again, being bisexual means that you're sexually attracted to both men and women. It doesn't have anything to do with love because, again, sexual attraction does not have anything to do with love. You can be sexually attracted to a person and not love them. You can love a person and not be sexually attracted to them. The two things are not connected.
That's so cool. That's a lot of people to love.
Yeah, being bisexual is awesome.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
But I guess I'm a little confused. Are people who are bisexual also gay if they are a boy in love with a boy or a girl in love with a girl? And what if a boy and a girl love each other? Does that make them not gay?
The term you're looking for is straight or heterosexual. But Teddy, your question is kind of hard to answer in black and white terms, because it comes down to preference. If a woman who identifies as being bisexual prefers women over men, there's a much higher likelihood of her deciding that she wants to go full lesbian and ditch any man that she was dating. The flip side of that is also true. If a woman that identifies as being bisexual has a preference towards the opposite sex, the same thing can occur. This is in fact why bisexual people are largely not trusted in the gay community.
Whoa, those are a lot of really great questions, Teddy. You're getting so good at this. No matter who a bisexual person loves, they're still bisexual.
I guess that's true, but once again, it comes down to sexual preference. Do they prefer dick or do they prefer vagina?
I guess that makes sense. Well, duh.
Okay, let's think about it this way, Teddy. You love eating apples and bananas, right?
Those are my favorites.
Okay, so imagine you're eating an apple. While you're eating that apple, do you still love bananas?
Of course.
Well, it's exactly the same as being bisexual.
Objection! The two things aren't even comparable. Lindsay, a bisexual person is sexually attracted to both men and women. A person who likes to eat apples and bananas is not sexually attracted to apples and bananas. Where are you getting this comparison? Because it's absolutely ridiculous.
If a boy is bisexual and loves another boy, that doesn't mean that he can love a girl any less.
Actually, yeah, it kind of does, Lindsay. See, if a bisexual male has a preference towards males, then there's a pretty good chance that he's going to leave the female partner for the male partner. Because it's a preference. He prefers the male gender over the female gender. And the flip side of that would also be true.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, just like my favorite fruits.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
But I have another question. What about people who aren't girls or boys? Like me, since I'm a teddy and I use they.
Teddy, you lack reproductive organs. Therefore, you can't be identified as either female or male. And I'm sorry, but your they pronoun is a made-up social construct, probably taught to you by Lindsay herself.
There's actually another word for that. It's pansexual.
Which is a made-up term by people that are bisexual that want to feel more special without actually putting any effort in.
Like apples and oranges and pans?
Not that kind of pan, Teddy.
You guys are hella stupid. You guys are hella lame. You guys are hella dumb. Hella.
Pansexual is when you fall in love with all genders. Bisexual is when you love people of both genders.
You're an idiot. That's the end of the sentence.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, being bisexual or pansexual is really cool.
Please don't make sexuality out to be something cool for children, because then they go around trying to mimic these sexualities, and that puts them directly in the line of sight of pedophiles.
Welcome to Queer Kid Stuff. I'm Lindsay, and this is my best friend Teddy. Today, we're talking about the T in LGBT.
Forgive me if I withhold my enthusiasm.
Welcome to the final part of our 4-part series breaking down the letters in LGBT.
And so far, all I've seen you do in this series is try to interchange the names for sexualities with the word love, and sell it to children ages 3 through 7. I can't help wondering if people like you and Ollie realize that shows like yours are a goldmine for pedophiles. Your shows confirm their belief that children that haven't even hit puberty yet can understand sexuality. And they can't, Lindsay.
You ready, Teddy?
Ready.
Okay. Today we are talking about the 4th letter, T. T stands for trans or transgender.
You already told us at the beginning of the video that you're going to be talking about the T, which stands for trans. Do you really think that we need to hear you say the same thing again? Because the answer is no, but you do it on every single one of these videos, over and over and over again.
Ooh, that's a cool new word.
Can you fuck off, mate?
Definitely, Teddy. Let's get into it. Do you have any siblings, Teddy?
Yes. I have a little baby bear brother.
I don't believe you.
And I have a little sister. Do you remember when your little baby bear brother was born?
Yeah.
Well, do you remember the very first thing you learned about the new baby bear in your life?
That he cried a lot? Well, duh.
No, Teddy. You probably learned that your little baby bear brother was your little baby bear brother. That your new sibling was a boy.
Oh, shame on that doctor for telling Teddy's parents that the child had a dick, so it was a boy. Shame on that doctor for using physical sex characteristics to tell the gender of a child. Oh, lordy, lordy.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely it.
That's the very first thing doctors tell you when a new baby is born, whether they're human or bear. They tell parents that their baby is a boy or a girl. That's called a gender assignment.
Sex assignment, sometimes known as a gender assignment, is the determination of an infant's sex at birth. In a majority of births, a relative, midwife, nurse, or physician inspects the genitals when the baby is delivered, and the gender is determined without the expectation of ambiguity. Okay, Lindsay, let's hear it. Why is this a bad thing? Because as far as I can tell, all it's stating is that a person looks at the child's genitals and tells the parents if they have boy genitals or if they have female genitals.
When doctors announce that babies are boys and girls.
But now I'm confused. When we talked about gender, we said that there aren't just boys and girls.
You have a really great memory, Teddy. You're right. There's something a bit weird about how doctors assign gender to babies.
No, there really isn't. All they're doing is they're picking up the child, they're looking at it and going, oh, it has a dick, so it's a boy, or oh, it has a vagina, so it's a girl.
That's because there aren't only boys and girls.
I need to see some facts and sources backing your shit up. Don't have them, then fuck off with your whack shit. Cause as an autistic bear, I've made it way more clear.
and because not all people identify with their assigned gender.
Lindsay, there is a very small portion of the population that actually suffers from gender dysphoria, but you would have children believe that everyone suffers from it, which isn't true.
Oh, so the doctors are wrong sometimes?
No, because the doctors are looking at the child's physical sex characteristics, and nothing else.
Yes, Teddy. Sometimes doctors don't assign the right genders. When a person does not identify with the gender they're assigned when they're born, they are trans or transgender.
When a person is born, they have certain sex characteristics that either define them as male or define them as female. Gender dysphoria is the condition of feeling that one's emotional and psychological identity as male or female to be opposite to one's biological sex. People with gender dysphoria will oftentimes use hormones and surgery to transition from one physical sex to the other physical sex.
People who are trans can be boys or girls or people too.
What did you say?
People who are trans can be boys or girls or people too. Or people too. Or people too.
And I can always ask someone their pronoun, just like you taught me.
That's right, Teddy. There's also another word you should know.
Oh, you mean like the word hypocrisy?
It's the word cisgender. Someone who is cisgender does identify with the gender they're assigned.
I'm gonna play that again. I want you to pay attention to her tone and the look she gives the camera when she talks about cis people.
Someone who is cisgender does identify with the gender they're assigned. Does identify with the gender they're assigned.
Her tone is disapproving, and this look she's giving the camera, that's also disapproval. Everything in her tone and her body language tells a child that being cisgender is to be disapproved of. It doesn't matter if she's doing it intentionally or not. The simple fact is that she's doing it.
Okay, so since you were assigned girl and you use she, then you are cisgender.
That is exactly right, Teddy.
Well, well. A self-hating cis lesbian that thinks children should be taught about sexualities before they hit puberty. Wow! I don't think I've ever run into your type before, and hopefully I never have to run into your type again.
Lindsay, I'm really good at this gender stuff now.
Okay, so now we want to know how you identify.
I identify as Demon Teddy, and before I go, I would like to further explain why I brought up all three of these channels in one video. Omnipolitics16 is a 16-year-old boy who thinks that children as young as 3 can not only consent to sexual activity, but that they can understand and want it. Channels like Pop and Ollie and Queer Kid Stuff are the biggest green light I've ever seen for pedophiles. Whether it is intentional or not is beside the point. The point is that what you're doing actually falls in line with what the pedophiles want you to be teaching. Because they want more people to think that children as young as 3 can understand these sexualities so that they can go, yeah, these children understand these sexualities, so it's okay to fuck them. As a victim of a pedophile, I can say for a fact, children cannot give consent, and children do not understand sex or sexuality. If you think children can consent, or do understand sexuality, then you can fuck right off. Demon Teddy out. I need to go hurt something on Skyrim.